Well, welcome back, everybody. It has been a while, but we have brought back the laws of magic power. Power, laws of power. And my co-host Derek can't stop doing the thing where he sings like the Bee Gees because he doesn't take this seriously at all.
Who doesn't want to sing like the Bee Gees all the time? Like, I can't do it and I still do it. Imagine if like Barry Gibbs must never stop singing.
I don't know.
But we're not here for the Bee Gees. Maybe you are. We're here for the Laws of Power. Yes, I'm Derek. And it has been so long since we've last done a Laws of Power video.
Yes.
If you look at the previous one for number 13, I was bald.
Whoa. I forgot about Bald Derek.
Bald Derek was a problem. Derek with hair is also a problem, but I was more of a problem as a bald Derek. So yeah, it's been a minute, but we're finally back into it.
That's right. So we want to just keep the train going, and we want to jump back right into those flavorful cards and flavorful plays that we can do at Commander to show how we can apply themes from the book Laws of Power, written by Robert Greene, more so for like the psychopathic business world.
What did he write it for? Because the more I'm hearing about these, I feel like this is a terrible book that no one should read.
Right.
And sorry, Robert or Mr. Greene, sir.
Sir. Please don't beat me up.
Respectfully.
And so, yeah, basically see how we can apply these to Commander, not as in a psychopathic, sociopathic way, but just kind of take some principles to show how they at least apply. Yeah. So taking one of those real world themes and seeing how you can do it in game and to maybe make you a better player, not a mean player, but a better player. So we are going to keep it trucking and moving on to Law 14, which is pose as a friend, work as a spy.
I'm a spy. Okay, I promise that's the last one. I can't. It's like a reflex. I can't help it. So the thing about this law is, and when we first were reading about it and everything, this is the first thing I said to you was this might be the most psychopathic or like devious / like just dirty feeling one yet.
Yeah,
this is the one by far, and there's been a lot like this, but this one literally makes me concerned for anyone that takes this too literally. But the good thing about Commander is there's so many mechanics in the game that'll let us kind of take some aspects of it without being a complete sociopath. Right. I think there's still some things that we can sort of learn from it.
Of course. And so before we get into all of that, we like to bring up some flavor text that definitely shines some light on what we're talking about for the day. So again, the theme is pose as a friend, work as a spy. And the flavor text we're going to pull from is Praetor's Grasp. And it says in the text of this card, Sheoldred weaves every thread of info into a noose to hang her enemies. So collecting some information and making sure you can use that to overcome your foes, your opponents. So
that card is too perfect. Flavor text wise, function wise, we're probably going to end up talking about it again. It's also one of those cards that no one would ever play against their friend. I just can't imagine anyone that would decide to play that against somebody and take their things. It's just that a thing. That's just not a thing that would happen.
As Hado Can calls it, going into your refrigerator. All right, so
yeah, taking the best thing, not even like a leftover or nothing like that. Like the freshly, I can't really cook, so like the freshly cooked or ordered food that I put in ordered.
Yeah. So we'll get into that when we get into the useful cards to kind of do these things. But first, let's go ahead and break down how to actually pose as a friend and work as a spy. Some tips that we like to throw out for you to do this in game of Commander. So first things first, collect information through spying. Sounds simple enough.
Yeah, in a lot of more competitive formats, I think it's like surgical extraction and it's cards like that where you look at somebody's hand. I think that's the card where you look at somebody's hand, you can like make them discard or something like that. Those are super popular, and this is a really popular strategy in more competitive formats where you want to know what is in their hand and get more information.
Yeah.
Whereas in Commander, it's used a little differently. I don't see those cards running around a lot, but there's kind of different versions of it that we'll see.
Yeah, because people kind of frown upon you looking into their hand and making them pitch one thing. And sometimes we may not even feel like that's the optimal play. Like I pay 1 mana to get rid of 1 card from your hand. Yeah. Probably neglecting, maybe we should actually put maybe 1 or 2 of those cards in our deck to actually see what's going on at any given time with your opponents. They could become an ally later on. Like, even though I discarded that card a few turns back, I know you have a card to deal with this new threat over here. So let's become friends momentarily. So
the thing with those cards in Commanders, I feel like you're basically choosing an enemy, and those are the type of cards where typically you want to play them early game, because late game someone might not have any cards in hand, or they have so many cards it doesn't matter. Those feel like plays you're trying to get like turns 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And to basically choose like you are my enemy that early in a game, and Commander feels like it can be risky.
Yeah.
Naturally, we do that to each other. just because that's like the understood law of the game. Like said, I'm looking at you, we're gonna be trying to kill each other all game. But in most games, you don't want to declare an enemy. So there are some universal effects that you were talking about that kind of make it to where it's not one person that hates you.
Yeah. Actually, I think this is a fun way we can use this, but the card Telepathy, the 1-drop enchantment, all your opponents play with their hands revealed. So,
spoiler alert, never play this card. It makes games take 7 hours because everyone has to look at everyone's hand first.
It does, but at the same time, you're giving everyone information. Yeah. They're going to be mad at you for playing the card, but at the same time, they're worried about what other people have in their hands. And so they're going to do their best to get rid of telepathy. It's going to go away. I promise you. It never lasts. And so when it does, you probably can make a friend or two from having information of everyone seeing each other's cards. Like, hey, that guy definitely has a Shieldred in his hand. We need to make sure that either never comes out or kill it on sight.
Especially if you have a play group with people playing either combo decks or just really powerful decks. They're going to forget that you're the cause of the problem right away when someone has their
one or two pieces of their combo.
I was about to say, I'm so bad at like competitive combo Magic. My go-to was like Kiki Jiki Pestermite, which I don't think's been a thing in Magic for a while. But like,
I know y'all still lurking out there.
Yeah, there's still Commander players playing Kiki Jiki Pestermite. But like, someone might have a piece to their combo, or they might have, like you said, that Shieldred in hand, or the Jingataxius or Vorinclex in hand. So all of a sudden, they don't care so much about you. They're worried about the other problem at the table.
That's right. So just find useful ways to collect information, whether it be, non-harmfully peeking in people's hands, like Urza Saga, to do the same thing. Maybe you can
Urza's glasses.
Urza's glasses. Sorry, Urza Saga is just Zeitgeist now.
Land breaking things. I think my personal favorite of all these different versions of learning information are cards like the Praetor's Grasp we talked about, and Rootwater Thief, which is like a weird merfolk that lets you look through someone's deck.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing against decks you've never played against. One of my things that happens all the time if you play out in the wild is you'll be sitting across from someone playing like a Golos or like an Atraxa, and the first thing that they'll always say is, it's not that type of deck. It's casual. I'm not doing the thing you expect it to do. These cards are a great way to find out, because you go ahead and Rootwater Thief. You can look through their deck and find out if they're lying to you. You can find out, okay, how competitive is this person playing? The whole power level discussion is really hard, but actually looking through someone's deck list through the course of a card is a real good way to find out, oh, sure, this is casual with your 17 mana crypts and your 3 mana vaults. This sounds like exactly what you described, and you can kind of get an idea of what they're talking about.
Yeah. And there are actually a lot of cards out there that help other players. They can either join your team, or you can give target player certain things, either whether it's drawing a card or gaining life or getting creatures or whatever. There are ways to help, collect information by not just being mean and, looking through your hand, discarding a card, looking through your library, exiling a card, stuff like that. So there's a way to get people on your team.
And what I would actually say is probably the most innocent way to kind of do this spying thing, quote unquote, is like preemptively doing it, in the sense of being familiar with just common commander strategies is almost a way of spying, in that if you're playing against certain commanders, you know what that deck strategy is in most cases. I'm someone who spends too much of my life paying attention to commander. So I know if someone's playing a certain commander and they tutor, 9 times out of 10, I can tell you what they're tutoring for. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen their deck list. I've never seen any of that, but I'm just familiar enough with the format, and learning and being familiar with common win routes and play lines in commander sometimes is the best form of spying, because you might know what people are doing without even pissing them off in the process.
Yeah. You can just politely ask, you're going for this piece or something, and just see if their face goes.
See the reaction.
No. I'm getting the land.
Never. I didn't know that card existed. As it falls out of their hand.
Fumbles out of the deck. All right. So moving on to our second tip, and we kind of breached into it a little bit, but enlist spies to gather intelligence. So like kind of mentioned briefly, as far as giving gifts to a player or target player or teammate to kind of get them on your side. And so sometimes maybe they're more aggro than you are. And so this is something I believe we tried last night in one of our games, where it's like there was a morph player at the table, and we were like, we don't like those morphs. We need to rush in. And we all formed an alliance. It was like, all right, you attack. Let's see what they are. And so like that was a moment of information gathering, where it's like, I don't have the attack power, but you do. Take one for the team.
And that's definitely something, especially depending on what power level you play at with your personal decks, is enlisting the help of others in those circumstances. to basically the family friendly version, mess around and find out. Because like that's a lot of the times if you don't have the power and gas in your deck to back it up, you don't want to poke that player and maybe get some info on what their like response is going to be, what their strategy is going to be. Yeah. But that's where you can make friends and try to enlist. And it's going to be much less, I think, in Commander specifically, you don't want to be as deceitful as this law makes it sound. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you want to just be straight up and be honest about it. Be like, hey, I don't have the means to deal with this. Do you want to kind of help me out here? And people might be more willing than if you try to like Jedi mind trick them, which unless you're like a poker player or something, it's probably not going to work.
Yeah. So our last tip is, this one is going to sound a little bit devious, but pretend to share confidences. So I've seen people do this and it actually works, whether they intend to do this on purpose or not. But someone might be like, you know, they might be enjoying the game a little bit, and they're just like, man, I got some synergies going on here. And if I get this like one or two more pieces, it's going to be almost game over. So let's say they draw a card and they're like, you see all your segment on their face, and they're just so excited. They're just like, oh, buddy, like person over here, like you see this right here, right? And then like maybe like 2 turns later, that same player who saw that card, like he shared a card with me, I can share a card with him. So sometimes it can be genuine where you're not even thinking about it and it happens, or you can just be like, I can't even pretend like I don't know like who deviously would do this, but I guess some people could actually like, hey, see this card? This is a cool card, right?
I do that all the time without being, I'm not smart enough to have done that strategically. I do that all the time if I draw a card that I'm really excited about. So last night I was playing with our friend Colby, who's been on the stream quite a few times, and I drew the card Ghostly Possession. Yeah. Which is like an old Innistrad common, but I have a foily one and I really like the art. So I got so excited that I was like, I need to show it. So I just like, when I was like, dude, look at this card. And like,
you know how you show it? By casting it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have anyone to cast it on at the time. And I was just excited to have it. But that is definitely a strategy too. The more you kind of just information, especially with who you want your potential ally to be, sharing information is a good way to kind of let them know that, look, you're not just trying to use them. You're also going to be giving something in return.
Yeah. It's still using.
Oh,
but,
yeah. But mutual using.
Yeah.
Mutual parasitism.
Yeah, sure, whatever. So that's all the tips we're going to do, because we're not going to get into all the more devious stuff that we found with this law. And we're just going to keep it moving and go to our commander spotlights. So we're going to talk about how a couple of commanders that caught our eye actually apply to this and will help you do this. So I'll start off first. I'll go with OG Sin Triplets, the card people love to hate, or hate to love. I don't know. Not sure. I barely see
a lot of hate. As long as hate is in the sentence, I feel like it's a good sentence for it.
Yeah, I barely even see it these days. I'm going to try to play it, sneak it in as a secret commander in the deck, but I can't play it as a full-on commander unless I'm about that life. And so what Sin Triplets does is Esper and 2. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you lock down a player, essentially, as far as looking at their hand. They can't play cards from their hand.
You just say no fun for you.
Yeah, but you can play cards from their hand. So that's definitely information gathering. You're not collecting a friend from doing that though, but unless you can turn it around where it's like, I've seen what you got and this person over here is a problem, even though they're definitely going to be resentful of you casting cards from their hand. Or you can just do a different route where you actually just look at their hand and never cast any of their cards. That's how you can do a different version of Sin Triplets.
Yeah, Sin Triplets is right. It's basically like if Mindslaver was a commander. But no, you're right. You can definitely use Sin Triplets in a way for a more political deck. Now, no one's going to believe you until like turn 6 when you haven't stolen all their stuff.
When you've never cast one of their cards.
But it's definitely doable. And kind of a similar commander, it's along the lines of also being kind of, people won't like them, but depends how you use them, is Xanathar, a newer one, where you're also just being able to play stuff off of people's libraries. Now, these are cards where you definitely want to play these with your play group. You got to find builds of them to work.
Yeah.
In order to use them beneficially, because you're not going to benefit if everyone just wants to murder you right away. Whatever information you get is not going to matter too much. But I think these are cards that within them you can throw cards like Praetor's Grasp and Telepathy and all these other things in the 99 if you want to go for this like undercover spy type build.
Yeah. So last night we'll talk about the game that we play. Apparently, Prosper the Tomebound can do this.
Prosper the Tomebound is a lot of things.
It's a lot of things. I didn't expect I took my Prosper deck for a test drive in our pod last night, and the thing with Prosper is that it doesn't want you to cast cards from hand necessarily. It wants you to cast cards from exile. And a lot of cards in black, I play more black than red, say exile cards from another opponent, and you can cast their cards. So Praetor's Grasp, Hedonist Trove.
Yeah, the Heathen's Trove, yeah.
Dead Man's Chest, I believe it's called. Is just so many ways that you can just cast cards from your opponent's graveyards or from exile. And he was the perfect target. He was the mark.
When I tell you, and the thing is, most of these cards don't let you play with and mana of any color. You actually have to have the correct colors.
Yeah.
It didn't matter because he stole all my lands too. Yeah. So I'm sitting there playing my Geist deck, my little ghosty boy, and he has all islands and plains.
Yeah, I have islands and plains. I had a 4-color deck.
But the thing was, he had so much information on my deck at one point, he basically just stopped targeting me because I was the last one to die to you.
Yeah.
Because he had so much information on my deck that he knew I had nothing left to murder him with. And honestly, indirectly spying allowed him, because you ended up winning the game. And that was the correct decision in killing the other players first because you knew what threat I brought and what level of threat I was. Had you not, naturally, I would assume your instinct would be to kill me first.
No, because I was using your equipment. I was using your creatures. True, I was using your land.
Well, that's a good point. Never mind. That's why you left me alive.
I was using your counter spells.
Everything. My board wipes.
Yeah, so I'm definitely loving how Prosper inadvertently worked out today. Chaos.
Did this just turn into a brag session for your Prosper deck?
It kind of did, but it's also just to let people know not benefits, but different ways that you can play like Prosper.
Yeah.
Or different ways you can play some of these commanders. Chaos Wand, card I need to see more people play. I was able to Chaos Wand other people's libraries to stop certain situations.
And the best thing about Chaos Wand is you also see a chunk of their deck.
Yeah.
Because you have to go until you hit an instant or sorcery. So you're going to be able to spy. Sometimes you got through like 10 cards.
Yeah. And sometimes it was like, yo, this person's doing something powerful. Pick me. I should have a removal spell or a counter spell.
And then that's when you find out if people are lying, because then you find out, okay, this person is playing counter spells. They said they're not.
Yeah.
This person's playing a lot of removal. Good to know. This one has 7 board wipes. Also good to know.
And the very last thing, at one point, even though I was stealing the most from you, you told me to target your library with Chaos Wand.
Yes.
Because we needed to stop whatever was about to hit the board.
Yes.
So you inadvertently became my friend.
It was. Well, I am the king of 7 mana counter spells. So I run like every version of Mystic Confluence and Sublime Epiphany in every deck. So I was like, one of them has to hit.
Yeah.
Not when I wanted it to, it didn't.
Yeah.
But I do love.
But they were there.
I love the. I didn't even think about that with Chaos Wand though. That might be the best spying card because people tend not to get as mad because you're only taking one thing, and the cards being revealed is not the effect of your card. It's just a side effect of it. So it's kind of like people just don't even think about it. I need to start using maybe Chaos Wand just for that. And we were volunteering so much information.
Yeah.
But we told you our life stories.
Yeah. I was like, Kobe, do you have anything in your deck that can stop that? And he's like, maybe. And then you jumped in. It was like, no, pick me.
Yeah. No, I basically just told you my childhood traumas to tell you what was in my deck. And you were like, okay, well, I didn't ask for all that, but okay.
All right, tap 4.
I fell for it. Man, I need to read about this law before we played last night.
Yeah, good thing I did. All right, so let's close it out. So we want to thank you all for listening to us go on about stealing information and becoming spies. In a fun and tame environment. So, yeah. So thank you for indulging us.
Don't actually spy on anyone, please.
Yeah. So use this law if you like, and see how you can apply some of the others we've talked about in previous videos. They're all under our bookmark section here. Our playlist here. So also, if you see any of the cards that we talked about that you want to pick up, or just want to find some spy cards yourself, there's actually a spy card that I'm gonna probably throw up on the screen right here, just because people don't know about it. You don't know about it yet, but I'll show you in a second. And it is actually a weird spy card. It's weird. But anyway, go to TCG, go to our affiliate link and pick up that card among others, and let us know your favorite ways to spy on your opponents and collect information. And you can do that in the comments below. But until then, like and subscribe. And
also, if you want the One More Mana Bee Gees cover album, just let us know in the comments. We have singles such as I'm a spy, I'm a spy, I'm a spy.
Yeah, that's one of them. Please don't ask. All right, everybody. Peace.
Laws of power.
Laws of power.
Laws of power.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Laws of Power.
Okay, but seriously, why not start it like that? Once I stop laughing, we should 100% start to be like, the Laws of Power. Welcome back. Laws of Power. Number 14.